Welcome everyone. In today's video we're going to be talking about animal communication and healing miracles, and I'm going to share a number of stories that have happened over the years with you so that you have an idea within you what is possible, and so that you can help create your own animal communication and healing miracles when you need to. So be sure, by the way, to like, comment, and subscribe below. And also just know that we do have some free trainings down below. They'll be linked, so jump on board and grab those as well. So I'm going to talk about a couple stories. So years ago, I worked with a 2-year-old dog named Ocean. And Ocean was starving herself to death despite guarding her food from the other dogs in the family and being very hungry. And my clients had taken her to their vet, of course, and they knew something was up, her vet, but wasn't exactly sure what. So she was sent off to the veterinary specialists for some testing. And after quite a bit of testing, they still didn't have an answer, a concrete answer. So they turned to me, and when I tuned in with Ocean and was communicating with her, the communication, by the way, animal communication can come in various forms. But in Ocean's case, the minute I communicated with her, the first thing out of her mouth was, "It's my duodenum." And it was kind of startling to me. I was like, whoa. Oftentimes they'll say, I'm having trouble with my digestive system or this or that, or something hurts here or there, but they don't usually get that specific. So anyways, the next week, my clients went back to the specialist armed with the information that Ocean had given us during the communication session I did with her. And they were able to confirm with an endoscopy that it was in fact her duodenum, and she had a rare bacteria that usually only humans get, and one of the so the outcome was Ocean really was able to turn around. I believe they put her on a diet of kangaroo. It was really unusual. But anyways, Ocean's people were just talking to me recently about another of their dogs. This was many, many years ago, because she was 2 at the time. And she crossed over a couple years back at the age of 13 and a half. So she had a nice long life once what was bothering her was able to be rectified. Another story, and I want you to think about when you're, with each story, I'm going to give you a little pointer. So whenever you have an animal companion with an issue, be sure to speak to them yourself, okay? Be sure to communicate with them. See if you can find out from them what they want to share with you. And if you don't yet have the skills, be sure to hire an animal communicator so that you can eliminate any, unnecessary time and energy. And, they could have saved a lot of dollars in tests if they had to test that first. And by the way, that's my little tiny puppy, who's 3 pounds, is right behind me in her X-Pen, which is in front of the fireplace. So you might see a little fence there. That's to keep her out of trouble when I'm doing the video. So always communicate yourself or check with an animal communicator anyhow whenever anything's going on. Another story I want to share is about Zoe. Zoe at the time was a 13-year-old tortoiseshell cat that my client, the late Tammy Nelson, had. And Zoe had suddenly began peeing repeatedly in a certain place in her living room on the carpet. And it was very, distressing and upsetting for Tammy. She was, getting frustrated with it and annoyed. And anyways, after a number of different things that she tried and vet visits and stuff with clean bills of health, nothing was showing up as a problem for Zoe. So she called me in, and we had some communication with Zoe. And when I was talking to Zoe, I actually was there physically for that appointment, which is more rare these days. But in talking to Zoe, she shared with me that there was new people living in the basement. What had happened was they had the whole house to rent, and the owners had decided they wanted to put in a basement apartment. So they just had their own, main floor, I guess it was. I can't remember if there was a second floor. There probably was a second floor. But anyways, there was an apartment being built downstairs and people moving in. And so when I talked to Zoe, she shared that it was really distressing for her, and she might have also been picking up on some of Tammy's feelings about the process. It's been a while now. And was acting out. And, it was kind of nice, because when I did some energy work with her, I communicated with her, I gave her some tools that she could use with Zoe herself so that she could help support her through this emotional, disruption. And, Zoe just stopped urinating on the carpet cold turkey with just that little bit of work. And that's a huge, huge shift. So one of the things I want to say, my big pointer for you is cats can be extremely sensitive to everything, any changes, and often just giving them the opportunity to express how they're feeling and what's going on for them can be enough for them. It's like kind of like getting it off their shoulders, can be enough for them to have amazing healing. So I really want you to think about that for all you cat people, because there's so many things that, renovating a home can really change them. Even changing a paint color or, different furniture colors in a house can have an impact on them. I want to also share about a client of mine, Janet. She had an elderly cat and her cat wouldn't eat. And we did communicating with her cat and some healing. And what her cat was really requesting the frequency of turquoise, the gemstone turquoise. And so I asked her if she had any, and she happened to have a piece. If you ever need a gemstone for one of your animal companions, you can go out and buy a tumbled stone relatively inexpensively, but she had some. And Zoe was her cat, I believe her cat's name was Jake, but it was a girl. Jake was really calling for the frequency of turquoise. So we did the communication, the energy work, and I asked her to lay the turquoise near the cat because she had just been laying in one spot and not getting up to eat at all. And lo and behold, after being in the presence, of course, Janet had to cleanse the turquoise. I gave her some details on how to do that. But after that time, Jake got up and started eating again. So it was really amazing. This next one is pretty amazing. This is about a client of mine, Diane, and it's about her dog, Misha, who ended up crossing over. We worked together for a number of years, like all the way through, one animal's life, crossing over and reincarnating as another animal. So, So her dog was Misha. Misha was a Pomeranian, and she had a lot of agility and obedience and flyball kind of dogs, and she performed in a showing kind of way with her dogs, and she also had an obedience ring. And but Misha was a Pomeranian, a sweet little Pomeranian, kind of like the star of the show type of dog. And actually even apparently tried to upstage Faye Dunaway in a movie that Misha was in with Faye Dunaway. So you get the kind of personality. And at some point in time, Misha crossed over, and I was helping Diane and working with her a lot at that time. And Misha had said that, and Misha was a boy in the first life. And Misha had said, I may refer to them back and forth because Misha came back as a girl. But she had said to me, Misha had said that she's going to reincarnate, and Diane was very aware. Diane had taken a lot of my training classes back then, and so was communicating herself. And interestingly enough, her life was going to take her to Florida in a certain period of time, like maybe a couple months or whatever. And she had started looking for puppies on the internet, and we had, Misha said she would come back, and we're in communication with her. And anyhow, she said, she texted me one day or phoned me, I don't think we had text back then, and said, hey, can we do a session? I think I have found Misha, coming back. And it was interesting because she sent me the picture of all the litter of puppies together in a row. And, as soon as I looked at the picture, it was like the second one in from the right or the second one in from the left. I can't remember now because it's a while ago, just highlighted. And I said it, and she goes, that's the one. I knew it was that one, but I wanted just to have your confirmation. And sure enough, she was able to go back down there and get Misha, who had now come back as a female and was named Ariel. So it's pretty amazing how we can work with our animal companions. We can communicate and connect with them, let them know what it is we're hoping for, see if they'll work with us, and then have this come to fruition. So, the one thing I want to say is always trust what you're getting from your animal companions, those that are here on this plane and those that are in spirit, because Misha was very true to his word. And came back to Diane very promptly. I mean, he was kind of born right around the time, he was born in the new body right around the time he left the old body almost. And by the way, the kind of teaching that I wanted to give you about the last story with the client Janet, who had the cat Jake, who was a girl, who liked the turquoise, was really always look to nature for how you can help and heal your animal companions. Our animals are so much closer to nature, and they're so much more impacted by it. So we can really help them out that way. Another animal communication miracle, I like to call it, is I had a client years ago who had a German Shepherd, and let's just call him, let's call him Dylan for the purposes of this. I can't remember if I have her permission to tell this story, so I don't want to share their private details, but so I was working with Dylan because he was also starving himself to death. However, he just refused to eat, and he was an elderly German Shepherd, and they were worried because he was, you can't go days and days without eating, and that's what he was doing. So my Jigs, my golden retriever, had just crossed over a couple of days before. And in my dream time, Jigs came to me one day, and he was very much a part of my healing team still, and was very much a part of my healing work while he was on the physical plane as well. So Jigs came to me in spirit one night, literally, and said, "I can help Dylan. You have to let me help Dylan." So funny enough, that next day, Dylan's person, the male of the couple, was at the bank with Dylan, and the teller had said, does he want a cookie? And was going to reach across with a cookie to hand it to him to give to his dog, and he said no, he won't eat it. And out of the corner of his eye, he noticed that the dog perked up, and the dog just started taking cookie after cookie and eating them. And it was so funny because it was very uncharacteristic at that point in time, and very characteristic of Jigs. And trust my beautiful beloved Jigs to come back, and the work he wants to do on this world is to help another dog eat. It's so typical. It's right in his fashion. So one of the biggest lesson here from this story is to always allow those on the spirit realm, those beings on the spirit realm, to help heal us and those that are here on this plane. Always allow a being, ask. I mean, Jigs came to me without asking, but he was really already a part of my healing work. If you have a being on the other side, you can ask them to help with your own self, or with with your animals on this plane. I have another story about a cat that was urinating inappropriately in Ontario. I'm from Ontario now, in Arizona, and the other cat. So the other cat was the people had two cats, and they didn't really know which cat was doing it, but it was really, really awful. They never caught them in the act, but it was really, really awful because the cat was urinating into electric light sockets in their house and urinating on their kitchen counter. So, I mean, they would be coming home from work and have a huge, huge mess to clean up. And they had put foil all around the electric baseboards. They had to cover their kitchen in foil. It was really a nightmare. And after one communication with these two cats, the one cat that did it did fess up. And then secondly, I did some healing work, I did some communication with them, and that cat stopped cold turkey. Now, I'm not saying there's any guarantees that this is going to happen, but I want to let you know that it's possible. So always be aware that it's possible. And lightening the load on our animal companions energetically can really transform them, like 100%. They can have 100% turnarounds. So it's my goal that everybody know that this is possible, okay? Because it's a really big thing. Another one I had was I worked with a Great Dane. And this Great Dane, when I first started the session, started showing me red hearts, and then they would break. And another red heart, and it would break, and another red heart, and it would break. It was like they were coming towards me and breaking. And you could think, okay, you would mean the dog's trying to tell you he has a broken heart, or somebody around her has a broken heart. And it turned out that we went through a bunch of stuff, and as I was asking his person questions about these hearts, we had a few false starts and thought we knew what was going on, but the dog was like, no. So finally, the dog just showed me her neck and the collar area, and I said to her, by any chance does your dog wear a collar? And she said yes. She said, oh my God, the dog has a red heart on the collar. And this dog was on about 6 different meds for a bunch of ailments, and I believe one of them was epilepsy and a couple of other things, if I remember correctly. And interestingly enough, this dog was trying to show me that that some of her illnesses were vaccination side effects, and that she was sensitive to the vaccinations and didn't want any more vaccinations. Of course, because I'm not a vet, I suggested she go see a holistic vet and talk to the vet and see what they could do about clearing out any of the energetic issues that might still be going on as a result of any vaccinations she'd had before. So the lesson to us here in animal communication and healing is it's not always what we would obviously think it is. Okay, it really isn't. So we have to be very mindful of that. Let's see. Okay, so I worked with a Doberman named Lola, and when she was on the physical plane, she could actually sniff any mole that her person got, and her person was really prone to getting moles, and could actually alert her as to whether or not they were cancerous or not, because some of them were and some of them weren't. So what's very interesting is that after this dog crossed over, I was able to communicate with her through a session for her person, and she was still able to let her person know which of the moles were cancerous or not, which I think is pretty amazing. So another confirmation to allow those in the spirit realm to help us. In this case, she was helping her person, not another animal friend. I worked with another, this story is really, really great. I worked with another gentleman named Paul and his racehorse all the way home in upstate New York, or in New York State, I should say, not upstate, just in New York State. And all the way home hadn't won a race in his entire career, despite exhibiting all of the necessary speed and talent and skill to do so when he was in his training. So he trained great, and then the race day would come and it would just tank. So, he was always coming in at the end of the pack, and it was really frustrating for them because it didn't mimic his training results and times. And we had checked in with him, of course, if he did want to race, and he really did. He was like he was a pet to them, which many racehorses are not, but he really was. And they really cared about him, and actually still have him to this day, and he's long retired. He's living out his life at their farm. But he had issues with the racing day hoopla. And so in talking to him, letting him air his issues, and giving his people some exercises they could work on, and giving the jockey some specific instructions, and there was a myriad of things that we did together. Putting all that together, he had a big race at Belmont the next day, and he won by something like 2 lengths. It was incredible. He finally, his energy came together, and he exhibited the talent that he really had. So complete transformation in a being is possible when we're open to it and get all parties involved with that being, and in sync with one another. And that's really what happened in that case. I worked with a cat named Fez, who came back from an extremely serious injury and medical issue and kidney failure at the age of 5. And, despite it being suggested that he should be euthanized, I think he was at the emergency vets, and it was suggested he be euthanized, and his people just didn't feel right about doing it, and something in them said, I think he'll be okay. And we did a session with him, and he did express the desire to give it a fighting chance and to live. So, and he made it. And the vets were just, dumbfounded at how quickly he, got better from what was going on. I won't get into all the details. It wasn't very nice. But, for us, that's really a lesson, to have a learning, really, to have faith, stay tuned in, and allow the magic that wants to come through to happen. Okay? I worked with the late Mary Bell, a past client of mine, on her 2 parrots. They were cockatoos, Snow White and Gabriel. And when Snow White was her heart bird, just like we have heart dogs, it was her heart bird. And, she got Gabriel to be friends with Snow White, and of course Snow White was very jealous of Gabriel. So anyways, when we did some work with them and, did some energy work, some communication work, they felt like they were going to be able to get along. And she let me know that everything seemed to kind of settle down, and Snow White, started to like him better. And within 2 weeks, she was exhibiting like in love, partner kind of kind of messages with him. So she went from literally despising him to really cozying up to him. And letting him groom her and that kind of thing, which was unheard of for her. So a new way of being is completely possible, providing an opportunity for our animal companions to express themselves and shift, and that's often all it takes. And in the layman's world, we don't really know these things, but I really want all of you to know that it's so possible. And it's really important. One thing I want to say that's really important for everyone to hear is that animal communication is not a substitute for veterinary care. It really is a great add-on, but you always want to have your animal companions seen by a vet, etc., and then do this work with them. You can share your findings with your vet or share the findings of your animal communicator, healer, and that can be very helpful, as was displayed. So just a reminder, there are some free trainings that you can sign up for below. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. And I'd love to see you in my future videos. Abundant blessings, everyone.